Good evening, Albania. Hello, Kosovo. Hello, Serbia. And iyi akşamlar, Turkey. I have a few announcements on investigative reports that I have been doing since July, August 2025, involving mostly Epstein's network, Jared Kushner, and the true victims, 80+% of whom have been from the Balkans, Albania mostly, a lot from Turkey, and also some from the Eastern European countries such as Romania, Slovenia, and Czech Republic. But the concentration for this announcement and what's coming in a series of my investigative reports, as I did between December 2025 and February 2026, is going to involve mainly Albania, Kosovo, and Turkey. Now, as you know, I published the reports as the first journalist, at least in the Western portion of this hemisphere, exposing the connection between Jared Kushner, Epstein, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, and Albania's Sazan Island. Now, I know some people want to pronounce it as Sazan, some pronounce it as Sazan, and we actually named it for our titles for the publication I had on Patreon, Sibel Edmonds. My website, my main publication site happens to be at patreon.com/Sibel Edmonds. I had 7-8 part series. I exposed Epstein's network's connection to the United Nations, the real operations of the Epstein's network in the Balkans and Turkey between late 1996 and 2002, 2003. And I want to, here's a shout out to Albania's Pamphletti. I am thankful to you. You were amazing. Despite all the censorship in Albania, you published every single one of my investigative articles in this series. Kudos to you. As a result of what you have done, we have Albania awake, protesting, kicking out this satanic pedophile network. I also want to thank Russia Today for Serbia, RT Serbia, because they did a 3-part series with me on Epstein's network with the United Nations during the Balkan Wars. Again, to this date, no one has reported this in the United States. And unfortunately, nobody has reported it in Turkey, because Turkey is extremely important in what I will be publishing and I will be broadcasting in terms of being the headquarters, the hub, the center of Epstein's Israeli child sex trafficking and organ trafficking network, targeting the victims in Turkey and also during the Balkan Wars, especially Albania, Kosovo, and to a certain degree, Serbia. Turkey was, and in a way, I always say Epstein's as in plural, still is. And I'm going to expose some of the players, some of the names, and the connections. Now, Albania, are you with me? Everything that is happening there, the media here in the United States, they are actually distorting it. They are not giving your real context. So, and you know why that is. And the other thing that is so important to really, really emphasize here, as I have emphasized with every single one of those reports I published between December 2025 and February 2026, 80+% of Epstein's victims, and that would be from 1996 until whatever happened to him, whether he was suicided, whether he is still somewhere, we don't know. There is no real confirmation. But as I emphasized repeatedly, the real answers, the real files, the real facts on Epstein's case will not come from the United States. This has already been proven. Okay? Why? Because those who are the ones who can release this information are the ones who are censoring it and covering it up. Many of these people in the United States Congress, okay, including Thomas Massie, the United States executive branch, okay, and this is under Trump administration, there are involved parties. They have involved parties in the satanic child pedophilia network. And as you know, it has been years, okay? Now, since 2016, we are looking at 10 years. So there is no chance, and I will underline it, let's put it in bold, there is no chance that this is going to come the real answers, the real victims, the real operation and network. There is zero chance, not even 1% chance that is going to come from the United States. In fact, I have actually gone on the record several times on the record, and I have said the real answers are going to come from the Balkans and hopefully from Turkey, even though right now the chances appear to be pretty dim, unless we together, this is one of those examples for the game theory of the win-win situation, because the cases and the network is connected. Turkey, the Balkans, and a chunk of Eastern Europe. Okay, there were victims from Romania, but I won't hold my breath for Romania. As you know, Romania is a NATO member. Same goes for Slovenia. NATO member nations in Eastern Europe and the Balkans, don't hold your breath, because there is an involvement, okay, as it was with the United Nations, with the private mercenary groups such as DynCorp in USA, okay, and to a certain degree, connections and overlaps with NATO. Because of that, I am addressing this right now, specifically and mostly for Albania and Kosovo and Serbia and Turkey. Now, this coming investigative report is based on everything I have been researching and obtaining, also through sources related to Turkey. One of the facts that have never been disclosed to the public, that's because of these pseudo alternative media in the United States, the pseudo researchers, and of course, you know about the mainstream media in the United States. I don't have to emphasize that. I think this has been known to everyone, to all humanity for a while now. But here is a fact that has been completely withheld, and to this date, until right now, 1996 to 2003, the Epstein's network and operatives in the Balkans, in Turkey, they were not only about child sex trafficking. Yes, they had that, okay, with thousands of victims, okay, but it was also coordinated and in partnership with the organ trafficking focused on organs from children, okay, and I'm going to explain that as well. These two networks, both of them with Israel roots, okay, these are some of the Israeli companies are currently, as medical clinics and companies are currently still operating in Turkey. Okay, I'm talking about 1996, 2003 Epstein network in partnership with this Israeli illegal organ trafficking, many of which within the Epstein's network targeting children. Now, some of these organs were sold in Israel, in some of the Arab nations, the Gulf nations, the United Arab Emirates, Dubai, Kuwait. Some of these organs were sold after harvesting from children, because the specific requests were children, young adults under 17, 16, 40 organs. Some of them were being sold at these prices of $100,000, $150,000. But for some of these illegal organ transplants from the children, and this includes Turkey, this includes the Balkan nations, and right now I'm specifically addressing you, Albania, the price went much higher when the children, the young children, were actually delivered live to the hospitals and clinics where the organ transfers took place. You know, it's not like putting the kidney in an ice box and taking it. There were certain medical research and medical procedures where the need was for alive children, okay? And as you all have heard, and that is something that currently remains a bit outside my area, okay? As some of you may have already heard, children were also used in some ritualistic practices, not only in the United States, okay? Epstein Island, forget about Epstein Island. They are trying to distract you with Epstein Island. Most of the things didn't happen on Epstein Islands, okay? Epstein Island was a separate category, separate operations. It was a separate thing, but they want people distracted and looking at all these Epstein Island stuff. They were in the United States, they were in England, but a lot of it also took place in Turkey and also in some of these Arab Gulf nations. The center number 2 after Turkey was Dubai in the United Arab Emirates. As I exposed, I kept naming one name, Epstein's partner, Jared Kushner's partner, okay? The guy who was involved in this operation with Epstein in the Balkans, bringing the buyers and sellers, a guy who is connected to Mossad, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, okay? So, 1996, 2002, Balkan Wars, the chaos environment, okay? Then we had the 1999 major, massive earthquake in Turkey. And in 2002, 2003, there were activities, Epstein's network, organ traffickers in Afghanistan, and the trips to landing on US airbase near Kabul, and also in Turkey, the US airbase, Incirlik base, where many of Epstein's trips landed in. These would be Epstein's airplane with his planes, and he used several private planes, sometimes his partners in the network. They didn't use only the airport in Istanbul. They also had trips where they landed on Incirlik base in Turkey, okay? Now I'm saying Turkey, and it's time to really put the emphasis because a lot of it is going to involve Turkey. I have obtained the name of the Israeli, Turkish, Ukrainian operatives involved in organ trafficking and child sex trafficking, headquartered in Turkey, with partners who are still operating in Turkey, okay? With that, and that's organ trafficking, child organ trafficking, and child sex trafficking, part of Epstein's network directly connected to Israel, okay? That is one, and that is extremely important. The other thing I want to emphasize, of all the countries in the world on Epstein case, you know, because it touched multiple governments, many governments, even in the United States, when they are not releasing it, they are putting forth this excuse of to protect certain people's names and the victims' identities. They have not yet emphasized, please put this in bold, they have not yet cited any kind of state secrets or intelligence related classification. No other country in their country with involvement in Epstein's, whether they're through victims or operatives who operated in their countries, being from those countries, there has been no country other than one country that has officially, that has formally declared the Epstein's operations, their Epstein's files and information as the state secrets under Turkey's intelligence classification system. That's right, Turkey. Turkey is the only country that has done it formally, officially, and declared it as the government state secret case. Now, people, I want you to think about it, okay? If a case, in this particular case, child sex trafficking, organ trafficking from children who are taken live, okay? All right? And a network associated, okay? If a case like this, which is a case, this is the case, unless this case involves directly government officials, government players, and or that government's intelligence, a government cannot and will not declare state secrets classification, government intelligence classification on a case. By doing so, Turkey has gone on the record as the only country declaring its direct involvement with the Epstein's network and this Epstein Israeli child organ trafficking and child sex trafficking, headquartered for the Balkans activity and Eastern Europe in Turkey, in Istanbul, Turkey. Turkey is the only Turkish government under President Erdogan is the only government that actually has, by doing so, has declared its direct involvement, its direct government, Turkish government's involvement in Epstein's operation. Think about it. Think about it, people. If it doesn't involve those child sex trafficking and organ trafficking and child abduction, if it doesn't involve a country's official intelligence and officials, a government would not classify the case as a government's state secrets. Pandora's box, I published a video and on the podcast on Patreon, I talked about it for more than an hour. I call the Epstein's files in the hands of the Turkish intelligence and Turkish government, the Pandora box of the Epstein case for not only for Turkey, for Albania, for Kosovo, for Serbia, for Bosnia, for Romania, okay? And the United States and the UK after that. And again, the United States media and these people who are posing as independent researchers, alternative media, they're all about bullshit, people. It is a concrete fact that 80+% of Epstein's victims, the Epstein's network's victims, and the number is starting from 1996 till 2016, the number is in thousands and thousands. 80% of these thousands and thousands of children victims were from the Balkan nations, especially Albania, especially Kosovo, and Turkey, okay? Headquartered in Istanbul, Turkey, and still is, because as I have said, and I'm going to repeat again, it is the plural Epstein's network. Some of the operatives involved since 1996, some of them are wanted by Interpol for other crimes such as illegal organ trafficking. They are all still lurking free in Turkey, okay? There are doctors involved. There are Turkish doctors involved in Epstein's network. There are ambulance operators involved, Turkish ambulance operators. There are banks involved. There are Turkish intelligence, segment of a Turkish intelligence involved, because as you know, there is a big chunk that is also related to the blackmail. And for blackmail is obtaining all this information, recording these tapes. So Turkey is the Pandora's box for the Balkans victims as well. Now, I started this video by saying, unfortunately, the chances are dim. Unlike Albania, unlike Serbia, there has been zero publication of my investigative report in Turkey. I am not going to be hard on Turkish journalists, at least most of them. As you know, under the reign and the regime of Erdogan in Turkey, currently there are hundreds and hundreds of solid, good journalists who are sitting in jail, okay? They are in the dungeons, Erdogan's dungeon, for reporting. for the crime of being a real journalist, okay? But not all of them. Then there is a segment that is just the extension and the mouthpiece and the stenographer for the Erdogan government in Turkey. But there still are, although few, a few who are operating outside Turkey, who may have good intention. And because they are not in Turkey, they are still afraid. Unlike the journalists in Albania, Pamphletti, again, kudos to you, okay? They are not touching it. And for that, as I reached out to Albania before and to Serbia, I'm going to reach out to you because we must get this information outside Turkey. I have obtained some. As I said, some of these individuals are most wanted in the red bulletin of Interpol, not under the Epstein's child sex trafficking, but other major crime, including illegal organ harvesting, illegal organ trafficking. They have been on the Interpol's list. Those people with impunity and immunity, they are leading the lives of the multimillionaire in Turkey right now, today. Okay? Ihlas Holding, with a big branch in the United States for this purpose, okay? For this purpose, under Operation Gladio B with Epstein networks and Mossad, still is operating in the United States, in Turkey, and in Central Asia. And it also involves a certain figure from Azerbaijan. This is going to be the investigative series. Now, as I said, I don't like the devil's playground. And what do I mean by the devil's playground? I mean the deep state's channels, whether where you're watching me right now, whether it's on X under that despicable guy, Elon Musk, or Facebook's Mossad Zuckerberg, right? They are part of the Epstein networks, all these people. So because of that, I have been after quality, not the quantity. I have put 99% of my publications in my Patreon. On my Patreon site is patreon.com/Sibel Edmonds. We have thousands of people there. We have hundreds of contributing subscribers there. And I publish there. But I hear you people. You're saying we need to reach more people. And you are absolutely right. And I'm now, in the past few weeks, I am broadcasting in dual language, Turkish and English. And soon I will be broadcasting in Farsi, Iranian language as well. Not anytime soon in the next few weeks, but that is going to be coming. So I'm operating in multi-language, meaning my publications, I'm recording it in Turkish, I'm recording in English, and soon I'm going to be recording it in Farsi as well. That aside, we need to get this reach more people. For that, I created buymeacoffee.com under Sibel Edmonds, at Sibel Edmonds. That is, if we have enough support from the crowd, from the people who want me to also publish on top of my work, that is where my site is, Patreon. On YouTube, on this investigative series, I'm reaching out to you. If you want it, if you are supporting it, if you see the value on it, please, I'm going to put the link there. It's going to be in the description section of this post. My both Patreon site, if you that's my home, join me there. But if you can't, or if you won't, do it via Buy Me a Coffee. If we have enough supporting subscribers at Buy Me a Coffee and donations, then yes, I will publish both on Patreon, that is podcast long format, but also here in dual language if we get support from Turkey, here on YouTube. Now, again, the last thing I also want to ask you to do is journalists in Albania, journalists in Serbia. Okay, there are some really amazing journalists. Journalists in Kosovo, contact me. Okay, when people want to contact me, they know how to contact me. They know my home, which is patreon.com. You can contact me via Patreon because some of you may be able to help me with additional information from Turkey by being there, because some of these includes interviewing witnesses. There are witnesses in Turkey. I know who those witnesses are. These are not government people, only people. These were the people who were involved with certain medical clinics and facility in Istanbul, with certain hotels, okay, with certain aviation services industry during those years between 1996 and 2002. Okay, I know where they are, and I know most of them are still alive, but I can't, I'm banned from Turkey. My accounts on X, they are banned, officially banned and blocked in Turkey. I have an arrest warrant standing arrest warrant for me. I can't go there and interview. Otherwise, I would in a second. And I have asked for months and I have not received a single Turkish journalist reaching out and saying there are things we can do and we will back this. But I am in touch with a party member who has been really amazing on this, because we have ways to get this information. I already have some of the information and I'm going to publish it, okay? But I need your support. So please support. If you want this on YouTube, open to all, please support via buymeacoffee.com. The best way is subscription, or you can do one-time donation. You determine the amount. Those of you who want to be part of my community, become a subscribing member at patreon.com/Edmonds. All the links are going to be there. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Please like it if you truly like it. I'm looking forward to reading your comments, and I'm inviting the true journalists, the true activists in Albania, in the Balkans to join me. Nothing is going to come out of this satanic country. This is where all the shit comes, okay? These are the culprits, whether via its government or its media or its pseudo alternative media or the talking heads on X and social media. They are fake. They don't have any interest. Forget about the best interest of the humanity, be it in the Balkans, be it in Turkey, be it in Eastern Europe. Okay, they have been parading handful of so-called victims of Epstein. They have been distracting with Epstein Island. When I exposed Sazan Island, Jared Kushner, the connection to Brazil, where they also got connected with Albanian mafia and cocaine. If you want to read those publications, they are still open. I didn't put those behind subscription. They are at my site, on my site, patreon.com/Sibel Edmonds. Show me, let me know with your comments, with your contribution or subscription at Buy Me a Coffee if you want me to do it on YouTube. And if not, I will continue doing it, but it will be for my community at patreon.com/Sibel Edmonds. Much love, much respect to all of you true activists. Those, all of you who have been fighting for the truth and justice for the abducted, abused, molested, raped, harvested, and killed children in the Balkans and in Turkey. I'll be with you soon.